Welcome to your Friday edition of FreightWaves Now, closing out another week. Got some exciting news from Zack Strickland about what's happening in regards to tender rejections. But first, let's hear from Nick Austin with today's weather.
Welcome to FreightWaves Weather. This is your Friday edition. I'm FreightWaves meteorologist Nick Austin. I hope you've had a great week out there. We've had some nasty weather here and there across the United States this week. Unfortunately, it's not going to get better this weekend, particularly for folks along the Gulf Coast, especially the Florida coast, the I-10 corridor, and over towards the western coast of the Florida Peninsula as well. We're watching a disturbance in the Gulf right now that's picking up speed. It's not very strong right now. Winds with this system only about 40 miles per hour, the max sustained wind. So even though they are tropical storm force, there's not really a defined eye, and it doesn't have other characteristics that would make it a tropical storm. But that could change. It could get a little stronger over the next 12 to 24 hours as it approaches the Gulf Coast. But for folks from New Orleans all the way over to across the Florida coast, not only the Florida Gulf Coast, northern Gulf Coast, but the Florida western coast over towards Cedar Key and even Clearwater and the Tampa area. All those areas will have to watch out because starting later today and into tonight, the rain will get really heavy for a lot of those areas. The winds will start picking up as well. And the main threat with this system, even if it doesn't become a named storm, is that there's a good chance for some pretty serious flooding along parts of the Florida Panhandle and the western coast of Florida as well. That's for later today, tonight, and through the day on Saturday. The system will probably make landfall, whether it's a named storm or not, somewhere between Panama City and, say, St. Mark's in Florida, and then head inland across Georgia and into the Carolinas for the second half of the weekend. So there'll likely at least be some short-term disruptions as far as freight movement, as far as supply chains across that region of the country, and of course problems for truckers out there as well. Next, we're going to go to the opposite corner of the country, to the northwest region, and we're going to see a snowstorm really picking up in strength and intensity. The winds, the heavy snowfall later today and through tonight, and that'll last through the first half of the weekend. This is for the Cascades of Washington State and Oregon, and also some of the northern Rockies of Idaho and southwestern Montana and parts of Wyoming as well. A lot of the mountain passes, the high elevations above 4,000 to 5,000 feet, could see 1 to 2 feet of snowfall with some wind gusts up to about 40 miles per hour. So not great for travel out there. And of course, this will slow down truckers that may have to go through or around the region. So there'll be some disruptions with the freight movement and supply chains to this part of the country. But most of that snow is going to affect really the ski resorts and the high elevations, but some lower elevations will see several inches of snow across that region as well. That's what you need to know for your weather today. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of our videos. Have a great day, a wonderful weekend, and be careful out there.
Welcome to your Friday Carrier Update, sponsored by Power Fleet. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Let's talk about some volume updates in regards to the weekly head haul map. So if you're not a daily watcher, head haul, outbound volume minus inbound volume, indicating who has control over the market, the carriers or the shipper side. Let's look at some blue markets. Salt Lake City, Fresno, Los Angeles, not looking good, but right outside in Ontario, that Fontana area, looking pretty good in regards to outbound volumes. Out west too, a little bit of Ohio over there in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Take a look at Atlanta. So if you're in Atlanta this weekend, it can always be a struggle, but hopefully you'll have some good luck this weekend. Let's move over to something that we talked about yesterday. Quincy, Illinois, the outbound rejections keep dropping, but here your yellow-green line, your inbound rejections spiking way up. So the carriers must have been watching FreightWaves Now to understand that the outbound rejections are coming way down. In regards to your volumes, Quincy's got way more inbound versus outbound. So Quincy might be one you want to stay away from for a few days, but with the inbound rejections coming up, you might be able to catch some sort of availability in regards to better rates for you. Taking a look at what's going on in Jacksonville, Florida, refrigerated inbound, way more inbound versus outbound. Optionality, wait time down there in Jacksonville, 135 minutes, but good news on the rejection side. Blue Mountain here, 10.42, jumping up above 10%. So Jacksonville, Florida, one to watch. If you're coming out of Miami, maybe you want to catch something coming out of Jacksonville. Let's move over out west, Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's talk about the van outbound freight. We're coming up at 33.76 on your inbound tender volume, so above the outbound at 20. Wait time in minutes, 171. They'll keep you waiting there for a while. Blue Mountain here, outbound tender rejects 8.47%. Trending way up, looking good from under 5% around October 8th to where we're at now. Extremely favorable to you, the carrier. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. We will see you on Monday.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this Friday edition of your broker update. So a little bit softer week this week in terms of volumes. We really kind of expected things to pick up a little bit more, but not so much. Behind me you see the outbound tender volume index. You see we had a nice little bounce last week where volumes recovered after that first of the quarter push, where things kind of soften after everyone takes a deep breath. This week, volumes dropped again, back down to 98.73 on the outbound tender volume index. That actually brings us a lot closer to where we were this time last year, which is not the best situation. Volumes were very low in October last year. Not a great situation. So behind me, I have the weekly change in the outbound tender rejection index. You see a lot of white here. All this white means that the market is pretty much in equilibrium. We're not seeing a lot of dramatic drops in rejection index rates and not a lot of dramatic increases in rejection rates. So anything in blue here, you can expect, these are the markets that you're going to see increased rate pressure, capacity dwindling. In the red, you're going to see these markets soften a little bit more, decreasing rate pressure. So I want to pay attention to this dark blue one here. This is pretty much one of the only markets in the country that we're seeing increasing rejection rates, which means that as a broker, you really need to make sure that you cover your managed transportation situation in the Shreveport market. Anything coming out of there, make sure that you make that a priority today and into next week. Rejection rates spiked all the way from just over 5% to above 11% this week. This is definitely the most volatile market in the country. It is actually a pretty decent size market too. A lot of inbound from Houston and Dallas. This is a big part of the triangle out there. So make sure that you cover all your freight in the northern Louisiana market and pay attention to the tropical system moving across the Gulf Coast this week. So everyone, have a great weekend.
Well, that'll do it for another week of FreightWaves Now. Thanks so much for tuning in every single day. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down there and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We'll see you next week.